From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, August the 15th, 2018. As promised, the Kerem Shalom border crossing into Gaza was fully reopened this morning. The key border crossing from Israel has been open for humanitarian aid, but has had restrictions in place for about a month on goods like fuel as a response to violence from Gaza. As we reported to you, Israel's Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman said yesterday that the restrictions would be lifted as long as there was quiet. A message to Palestinians that a halt in violence was ultimately in their best interest. Lieberman wrote on Facebook in Arabic, "Calm pays, violence doesn't." About 700 trucks with goods entered the Kerem Shalom crossing after the reopening today. And while no rockets have been fired at Israel from Gaza in nearly a week, arson devices are intermittently still being sent over the Gaza fence into southern Israel. One just after the crossing's reopening this morning, which set off a fire that was extinguished by Israeli firefighters. Lieberman also addressed reports of a long-term truce with Hamas, who rule Gaza, which he stressed would only be possible if certain conditions are met. Lieberman said as for various proposals regarding a long-term settlement, they must first include an arrangement on prisoners of war and Israeli soldiers missing in action. But what will ultimately be the deciding factor is not the proposals, but the reality on the ground, Lieberman said. And lest anyone have any doubts, we will do everything to ensure the security of the citizens of Israel. And if Hamas turns to violence again, we will respond immediately and in a much more severe manner than before. Meanwhile, the family of one of the soldiers whose remains are being held by Hamas petitioned Israel's High Court of Justice today against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Security Cabinet. The parents of Hadar Goldin claim that the special committee set up by the Prime Minister and Cabinet to deal with MIAs and POWs has not been convened or made any decisions since about a year and a half ago, nor have they given the family any updates for almost 2 years. They asked the High Court to issue an injunction that would prevent any action to advance an agreement with Hamas until the special committee convenes to discuss returning the remains of their son, as well as those of fellow IDF soldier Oron Shaul and the 2 Israeli citizens that Hamas is holding. Knesset member and new opposition leader Tzipi Livni met with U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman at the American Embassy in Jerusalem today. Livni wrote on social media that the two discussed Israel's security and prospects for peace. She wrote, "The ties between Israel and the U.S. are strategically important, critical for Israel, and we must preserve them." The Shin Bet rejected claims today made by American-Iranian writer Reza Aslan, who said that he was detained and threatened when he entered Israel from Jordan 2 weeks ago. Aslan, who is a contributor to CNN and has criticized Israeli policies, said the Shin Bet warned him that they could keep him from his family for a long time. The Shin Bet firmly denied the accusations. They told reporters today that Aslan was held for a brief interrogation, but that the claims made about threats against Mr. Aslan and the claims about political questions were thoroughly examined by the Shin Bet, and it was found that they are totally without foundation and have no basis in reality. The Shin Bet defended their security procedures, saying they are in accordance with Israeli law and have prevented terrorist activity in Israel. The Jewish Democratic Council of America criticized one of its candidates for Congress in Michigan after she suggested that if elected, she could cut military aid to Israel. The Jerusalem Post reports that American-Palestinian Rasheda Talib was asked in an interview on Britain's Channel 4 News Monday if she would support cuts in aid to Israel, to which she replied, "Absolutely, if it has something to do with inequality and not access to people having justice." The JDCA released a statement stressing that aid to Israel remains bipartisan in Congress because it is mutually beneficial to both Israel and the U.S. They wrote that threatening to cut military assistance to Israel is inconsistent with the values of the Democratic Party and the American people. Jewish Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novelist Art Spiegelman is being honored with the McDowell Medal for Culture and the Arts, making him the first cartoonist to win the prestigious award. Spiegelman, best known for the graphic novel Mouse, is the son of Polish Holocaust survivors, and Mouse tells the story of his father's experiences during the Holocaust. It won the Pulitzer in 1992. The Edward McDowell Medal has been awarded annually since 1960 to an individual who has made an outstanding contribution to American culture and the arts. Spiegelman told the Washington Post upon the news of the award that art gives you a deeper look at what is going on around you. What's recorded by artists helps us make sense of it all. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Wednesday, August the 15th at 7 o'clock, peace activist and author Mohammed al-Samawi recounts the details of his escape from Yemen with the help of American Jewish Committee board member Daniel Pincus in an AJC Westchester Fairfield event at Shaarei Tikva in Scarsdale, New York. At 8 o'clock, Alaska Airlines navigator Elgin Long, who helped save thousands of Yemenite Jews brought to Israel in 1949, is honored. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with Israeli author Yossi Klein Halevi on L'chaim. At 10, Pakistani Muslim Qasim Hafiz talks about how he went from being an anti-Israel Islamist radical to a pro-Israel activist. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 6:30, it's Thinking Out Loud with Micah Halpern. And that's the JBS News Update for Wednesday, August the 15th, 2018. I'm Teisha Bader.